Good morning everyone. This will be my video lecture in NSTP 2. Today is March 20, 2021. It's a Saturday. So it will just be a short lecture because it is a continuation of what we have taken up last time, which was of course the different types, or categories of what we call community engagement. By now you may have already researched on the definition or the meaning of community engagement. So we go back to here. There are two concepts here. The word community, so it's one word fused with what we call engagement. So these are two words. Of course, when we speak of a community, we are talking about a group of people, sharing the same interests, in a community, whatever interest that is. And of course, when we talk of engagement, we are talking about involvement, involvement. So if you fuse community and engagement, therefore, we are talking about something that is of collective effort, collective effort, or efforts rather, collective efforts by members of the community to engage in collective efforts. And what is the purpose of community engagement? Of course, to solve a particular issue affecting them, particular issue that affects them. So the last time we talked about the different types of community engagement. We talk about the first one would be what we call community organizing. The first. I will just be discussing them briefly, so that it will refresh your memory. When we talk of community building, okay, let's take this one by one. Community, and running out of ink then. So, of course, we talk about community building. This was the first one that we have taken up last time. When we talk about community building, the purpose is you have to bring the people together, bring the people in the community together. For what purpose? Well, for getting to know each other. That is the purpose of community building. Getting to know one another. So, one another, of course, you may do this through programs or projects that will introduce people or the neighborhood with one another. Like we will have perhaps a luncheon meeting, for instance, a luncheon meeting, or any meeting for that purpose. The intent would be to bring the people together and know each other. And of course, the purpose of community building, to summarize it briefly, will be networking. Networking. You increase your friends, your acquaintances. For after all, later on, you might be calling them for a particular project. That is the purpose of community building. Then the second type is what we call community education. This is the second type that we have taken up last Saturday. Community education. What is community education? Again, well, of course, offering instructional curricula. Offering what we call instructional curricula or services. Instructional services, similar to the LTS. Community education would, of course, pertain to offering instructional services or curricula, very similar to LTS. What is LTS? One of the components of NSTP would be the literacy training service. And what is this? Of course, if you have taken this as the component of your NSTP, what you do is you go to the far-flung areas to educate the out-of-school youth and those children that are or who are underprivileged, to teach them literacy and numeracy skills. numeracy, meaning numbers. This one is for reading and writing. This one is for arithmetic. Okay. The third is what we call uh, community organizing. And what is community organizing again? Well, you have to bring people together. Community organizing. Bring people together for what purpose? To solve what? That's it. Particular issue. Particular issue or challenge facing the community. So this one, for community organizing, you organize a certain program to bring about people together so that you could resolve a particular issue, challenge, or problem. Say, for instance, the problem now on the pandemic is, of course, the wearing of masks. No? So you may resolve wearing of masks or in general the health protocols. The health protocols. That is just an example of community organizing. And then the fourth one is what we call deliberative, no? Deliberative dialogue. That's a fourth. Anyway, I have discussed this to you before, so there's no need to shut it down again. Deliberative, when we mean by deliberative, of course, there is the intention to resolve, not deliberative dialogue. And a dialogue is, of course, bringing about people together in order to thresh out issues and controversies. What is the purpose of this for deliberative dialogue? Is to settle differences between and among people. No? To settle differences through what? Well, of course, understanding. No? You bring about the people together, you bring them together, then thresh out the arguments from both sides or from the different sides, and then you come up with a settlement to settle differences or conflicts, even conflicts. Okay? So I discussed this last time, the first four of the types of community engagement. Now we go to the fifth one and up to the eighth, no? Because that will cover everything. The fifth is what we call direct service. Direct service, or what? Instead of service, you have product. So you have direct service or product. What is this? Well, just giving a type of service. Like, say, for instance, if there is nothing that collects your basura there, that is direct service. Perhaps you may launch a project or a program wherein they will be collecting the trash in your community once a week, for instance. Or here, direct service, meaning giving service. Not only service that you give, but sometimes you may also give product, a particular product. So I mentioned this earlier. When you give a service, supposing that in your community or barangay, no one is collecting the basura or the trash, then you may launch a certain project that will implement the giving of service or the giving of or the collection of garbage in your locality. Or you may give a product that is direct service or direct product. What product? Well, nowadays, because it is pandemic, perhaps you may want to give face masks, the giving of face masks. Those are products, or even face shields, for instance. You may want to give that. Basta What we mean by direct service, this is another type. Direct service or direct product would be giving a particular type of service or giving a particular type of product. That's the fifth community engagement model. Well, the sixth one is what we call economic model. This is the sixth. Six would be what we call economic model. Uh, well, by the term alone, economic. So what is this? Well, helping the community or your barangay, helping them to alleviate the economic condition in your locality. Like, say for instance, for as an economic model, you may be conducting what we call a feasibility study, no, for new businesses there. No? So the purpose here of this economic model is of course to improve the economic condition in your locality. Economic condition in your locality, like perhaps you may want to um, write a feasibility study on new businesses. No, new businesses. No, or you may want to write a feasibility study on how to improve existing businesses. No, existing businesses that are not doing good. No, so how are you going to improve existing businesses that are now in operation? Okay, so that's economic model. Then the seventh type of community engagement is what we call engaged research. Okay. Seventh would be what we call engaged research. Well, by the term alone, research. So you will be conducting research. What are you going to conduct about as a research? Well, anything that will benefit directly the community. Anything that will directly benefit the community. No? And of course, anything that will directly benefit will of course involve or entail a non-partisan issue. Should be non-partisan, hindi puro politics. No? Should be a non-partisan issue. Here, the community or your locality will also be faced or confronted with a certain challenge or with a certain problem. No? May problema yung community or your barangay, you may have your problem. That one, when we talk of engaged research, perhaps you may want to conduct a research to solve this challenge or problem facing your community at the moment. Okay? You understand that? As long as the research will directly benefit the members of the community, then that will fall under what we call engaged research. Or, in the solution of the challenge or the problem in your community, you may also want to mount a research offering solutions to the challenges or problems that beset your community. Okay? Economic research. And then the final and last type of community engagement is what we call institutional. No? Institutional engagement. Well, with the term alone institutional, of course, it will involve what? The institution. No? Like St. Camillus, for instance, if St. Camillus would like to offer its resources, no? Offering resources in the solution of the problem, as long as the issue is, of course, again, non-partisan. No? Hindi siya something to do about politics. No? If SCCM, for instance, would like to offer its resources so as to solve a certain non-partisan issue, then that will fall under institutional engagement. Or bringing, this is also institutional engagement, bringing what? events or programs. Bringing events or programs what? Accessible to the people or to the community. Accessible meaning it is it can be shown or it can be viewed by all members of the community. So you bring these events or programs accessible to the people, then that is also falling under what we call institutional engagement. Of course, the programs or the events are mounted by an institution, just like St. Camilo's College of Management. So, if you bring those programs or events on SCCM accessible, just like, for instance, Galikayo, the Galikayo Festival, or Miss Galikayo Camiliana, which is very accessible to the people, it's been quite some time given for free or viewed for free, then that will fall under what we call institutional engagement. Or SCCM may offer its resources to help solve a non-partisan issue, then that is also falling under institutional engagement. Okay, so those are the different types. Now it's about time to give you your assignment for next Saturday. Your assignment is, of course, why is community engagement important? No? I repeat, why is community engagement important? And that is assignment number 8. Number 8. Okay? So that is all for today. Thank you and good morning, everyone.